is here to celebrate 25 years of dressage, of British dressage. And I mean, I think you'll agree, guys, Valegro is the horse, isn't he, that really, over the last years, I mean, he put British dressage on the map, didn't he?
Well, he is a superstar in all ways, not just because of his medals. I mean, as we all know, his medal count is enormous. His gold medal count is enormous. But he's here today, obviously, as a celebration. He's 21 years old this year as well. Even today, he does things for people, for children. I think what's really funny is we just had half term, and we just had a busload of children come to the yard. We had 30 kids and their parents come to meet him, and so we had a tour of the yard, and I bring Valegro into the school at the end, and I said to the children, and this is the most famous dressage horse in the world. Well, I mean, I'm talking to 12-year-old children, and I suddenly thought, oh my God, none of them know who he is, because 2012 was actually a long time ago, and they're like 12 years old. So I had to start all over again with the explanation on who this superstar is. But as you can see, I mean, anybody can go to Valegro and sit on him. Only about 3 weeks ago, we had a very lovely little boy who came to the yard. He's not very well, cancer in his legs. And, I led Valegro up to the mounting block, and he climbs on, and Valegro takes him for a walk, around our property. I mean, he's that amazing as a personality. And I think from memories of Charlotte riding him when she did a display in New York, it actually coincided when he was in New York with the Pope visiting Central Park at the same time as Valegro was doing his demo. And Central Park was full of people, and I just never forget the photograph of Charlotte coming out from her display, and Valegro basically making the Pope look fairly non-existent because the crowd came around Valegro, and you couldn't actually see him for the amount of people that were around him. I mean, any other horse you'd be terrified he'd tread on somebody or kick them, or I mean, he just is an incredible human being.
I know I got kisses. Are you all jealous? Charlotte, so many memories. I'm going to ask you that impossible question now. Which one, if you go, right, one memory, which one stands out?
Undoubtedly, it'd be London 2012. I think for me, for one, it was always my dream to ride with Carl and Olympic Games, and that was the Olympic Games Carl always told me I'd be hopeful for, and going there with no expectation and coming away with double gold was just a memory that I will never forget. And 12,000 people seated there cheering, stamping their feet. It was a very, very magical day. I think it was only recently I found a clip and I reposted it actually on my Facebook, and it was the moment where I'd just finished my music and I came out and Carl gave me a right telling off because I'd made a mistake at the end, and he said, that cost you the gold, that cost you the gold. I wasn't even riding for gold, I was just riding just to be, thinking top 3 would be amazing. For me at that time, it was like my second year of Grand Prix, and to then hear the crowd erupt, before I even knew, the crowd just went absolutely crazy. And I actually watched that clip back a few weeks ago, and it brought tears to my eyes because it was just a very, very magical moment. And I think what I have achieved with this horse has been, for me, something that will never probably happen again in my lifetime. To have a horse like him, to be able to do it for my first time ever, I think it's been incredible. So he is a horse of a lifetime, and I think we're all very, very grateful that he's been in our lives.
And you've always said he's never been that cuddly. Has he got any more cuddly with age?
Nope. He hates being there's horses that love to be cuddled and fussed. He only likes you if you've got food. He loves food. He comes up to you. If you've got food, he wants to talk to you. If you haven't got food, he's like, I'll see you later.
I did give him a treat earlier, that's why I'm getting the love. Alan, you have been around the world with this horse. I mean, how many times around the world is it?
1.5.
1.5 times around the world. For you, what's the memory for you? What's that trip that stands in your memory?
It's difficult to say really, because there's been so many, and he's so incredible. There's the two blueberries, there's the charming gentleman, who hacks around the roads with Trish Gardner, who's 88, and I can go for a plod around the fields on him. And then there was the showman that he switched on every time, whenever he had to go, and all the pressure was on him, sort of. I think Rio was an incredible moment because there was the pressure from trying to win back a gold medal. There's just been so many amazing times with him. It's just unbelievable, and to have a horse like that trust me to take him around the world, planes, trains, boats. I've been in all sorts of strange automobiles, and for him to trust me to do that is just quite unbelievable.
And he's still making you cry. He's still doing it. Is there any other horse that's made you cry as much as him?
No.
No. And then just to finish, obviously the next generation, Isabella's now in your life, and she is utterly gorgeous and obsessed with ponies. How special is it for all three of you to see her kind of on board, and you've been holding her on? I've seen the photos, but that's just magical.
Yeah, I think for me it was always my dream. I always said one day I'd love my child to have a sit on Valegro, and you always think, well, when's that going to happen, and what if something happens in between all of that? And I can honestly say, thank God it has happened, and Isabella absolutely loves Blueberry, and Blueberry loves her. So, how amazing is it that my daughter can now sit on her and have her first pony? I mean, you couldn't ask for a better first pony, could you really? He literally, you sit her on her back, and he is unbelievable. And he lets her touch all her face. She pulls his nose, pulls his whiskers, and he just stands there, and he's just incredible. There isn't very many top-level dressage horses that you can just stick anyone on, and he just accepts absolutely everything. He really, really is magical.
So the question is, I mean, he looks like you could stick a saddle on him now, and he was like watching Squeak. I want to have a go at that, Mum. But Carl, what's Valegro up to? What's his retirement plan now looking like?
Well, he was being still ridden regularly this year. He's 21 now, so he still was teaching some of our grooms at home, and they were lucky enough to sit on him every now and then. Anybody who has never felt an Olympic gold PF, he still likes to do that. He's now, Utopia is also still at home alive and well, and he's 22, so the pair of them basically they have what I call the retirement home, which is two stables together. They live together, they still do everything together. They've been around the world together, and they're retiring together. So they go in the field every day, and they do a little bit of hacking, and occasionally go in the school, or as I say, if any kids come to the yard. That doesn't mean I want a rush of kids coming to the yard, by the way. I could feel that was the wrong thing to say. But, he still does that. And, I probably the one thing I do once a year is actually go for a hack on Boxing Day on my own. And he's my Boxing Day hack. And so I get on him in the morning and head off around the block. Always grounds me a little bit, reminds me of, where he came from and why we do it. And the last time I actually went round the block on Boxing Day, I was coming home, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I met 3 carriages coming up the hill. And, as only Valegro would do, I just moved to the side and stood on the verge, and the 3 carriages went past me. It was obviously a Boxing Day drive. And the last woman in the carriage, as they went past, I heard her suddenly scream, "That's Valegro." And there was 16 people in the carriages, and they all got out on the verge. He's just really well known. He's so recognizable with his face and his character. And long may he live. That's what I say.
And how did he feel getting on a lorry? Obviously, he wasn't on a trailer. How was it putting him on a lorry? Was he a little bit like, oh, what's going on? Did he love it? Did he pull you on?
He was very excited when I started getting ready this morning. He was so thrilled. He does, I think he misses attention. I don't think he misses the pressure of going to all the big shows and having to win medals and stuff. But he does watch as the lorry drives out and watches the other horses going. So this is an absolute thrill for him. He's lapping it up. He loves every minute of it.
Do you think, I just don't think there's another horse who's got the temperament and that ability. He's just extraordinary, isn't he, in so many ways?
Well, most people that you speak to or you talk to about top horses, they say, they were difficult when they were young, or they were very often hot, or they were spooky, or, we know that difficult horses tend to make very good horses. But Valegro has one pet name, the Professor, for a reason. And that is because he was easy to break in, he was easy to train, he travels all around the world, he eats and drinks when he does all these things. There's no stress in his body or his life. And I really think you're right. I don't think there'll be another one. He was a champion at 4, he was a champion at 16 in Rio when he won his last gold medal. And it's a relief, to be honest, to have a horse that's had a career like he has with no ups or downs. He's been a gem for everybody all of his life. And it's just wonderful to see him. As Alan said, for him, this is a day out and just meeting people. As I say, people still come and meet him at home. He doesn't get to travel out very often. So I'm just so happy to see him enjoying himself. And, and he does love all this. I mean, well, look at him. I mean,